Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Angela, and welcome back to, as it is July 31st, July 1st, 2023, we are looking at my card of the month for June. It is Saturday, July 1st, 2023. So if you're just tuning in, I always do a year ahead spread at the beginning of the year. Every year it's been kind of different. This year, the Stolen Child Tarot was like, I need you to use me for your year ahead spread. So I'm like, okay, I pulled a year ahead spread in January, first week of January. And then this year I decided I've been switching it up every year when I do a year ahead spread, doing different things. This year I decided to, once I look at the card at the end of the month, if another deck calls to me, pull from another tarot to see what we got. Last month, for May's, I was shocked because I had the Queen of Swords, and I also pulled the Queen of Swords from a totally different deck. So it was like a double Queen of Swords energy month, and I had totally felt that throughout the month of May. And it's just interesting because I always do the year ahead spread in January, and it boggles my mind how accurate these things get when you're talking 6, 7, 8 months into the year. You pulled a card in January and it's dead on what you went through in that month. And that quite often, 99.9% of the time, has happened to me. So that's crazy. This is an indie deck by Monica L. Knighton. And I found it interesting because I really didn't pay attention until yesterday. The card I pulled for the month of June, way back in January, these are the backs, beautiful, was the Justice card. And I knew I had pulled the Justice card, and all month long I kind of been, I'm trying to get better at double checking throughout the month to see where Justice fits in, where I'm kind of like the Justice card, and where the Justice card is working for me or against me or whatever. Like all of these different things, I'm always trying to figure out or apply the Justice card. And I just realized yesterday, this is number 8 in this particular deck instead of, was it 10, 11? 11, which I found is interesting because usually 8 is the Strength card. And I just found that interesting. There's almost like, it's weird because the month I had was very, let me see if I can zoom in a little closer to this guy, because that's a beautiful card, beautiful Justice card. I find it interesting. First of all, the honeycomb and all that. The more I'm diving into bees and everything, bees and honey, the more things come to me. It feels like that's bee related or honey related. And it's funny because I don't like honey. I don't like honeycombs. I don't like the stickiness of it. I don't like the taste of it. I don't like it. But here, I would say the last year and a half, 2 years maybe even, there's this theme of almost like a purity to it. And that's what it's trying to get me to take away, is this purity of it. And I also see justice in that way as well. There's a purity to justice. I always say, karma is a bitch. She will always get her due. And to me, that's the same as justice. Because there's a checks and balances there. There's a, I would say universal checks and balances, a universal cosmic, evenness that has to happen, or balance that has to happen with the Justice card, with karma. It wasn't that I felt that this month. It was more like, that it was reminding me, whatever you put out there, you get back tenfold. So make sure what you're putting out there isn't something that you want coming back, because there's a checks and balances here. Whatever you send out will come back. And I thought that was very interesting with it being the justice card. And I don't know. I may sound like I'm rambling. I don't know. But that's what I got out of this month, was this more. And it's funny because usually strength is number 8. And I felt like I had a lack of strength this month. It was just like everything felt like it was weighing me down. And I'm just like, but it was also a reminder to keep your head up, to not, despite everything going on, don't lose who you are. And I am a person that is all about justice, probably because of it probably stems from my childhood and all things that happened to me that were unjust. So I'm very much a person that's all about justice and all about karma. And a lot of times that can be skewed, because justice is known for being black or white, wrong or right. But there is a middle ground, and there is a gray area a lot of times that people don't realize. There is a gray area. And I just found that quite interesting. And I've been actually questioning things this month. Like, I would hear things that would, okay, for example, I heard on this new podcast I'm addicted to. They were talking about money, and of course they're all famous, so they all have money. But I thought about that. I'm like, what if you found $1 million in a duffel bag on the side of the road? It's not marked. It's just $1 million randomly in a duffel bag. Would you turn it in, or would you take it? If there was no consequences to you, would you take it? And to me, those are the more moral questions I've been asking myself this month, or in the month of June. And I think that a lot of it has to do with the justice energy. There's a moral compass to justice. Like, okay, so, this really, really bad guy does this really, really bad thing. Is it okay to send him to the electric chair? Or is it okay to murder him? And so those are the moral dilemma questions that the Justice card has had me asking this month. And I found it interesting that I've kind of gone deeper into these. What is your personality? What would you do in this situation? What would you do in this situation? And then you hear the 2 wrongs don't make a right. But sometimes that second wrong is necessary. Because justice isn't always black or white. Sometimes justice is blind to what is really going on. And I just found that interesting that I was diving into justice without actually diving into justice, if that makes any sense. And that's the kind of thing I was talking about. I find it interesting that even without doing a check-in with this specific card, things come up throughout the month that relates to that. And I'm like, that's why I pulled this card in January, because it knew these were the topics that I was going to be discussing or evaluating for me personally throughout the month. So I just found that very interesting. But I feel like I've rambled on and on and on. So here I have printed out the book. It says, blind justice antlers symbolize station and authority. The feathers in this deck replace the air suit of swords, but also evoke the scales of Egyptian mythology, where Anubis weighs the heart of the dead against a feather. Look at his hands. Yeah, he's got a feather in one hand and honeycomb on the other. Rather than the slightly tilted sword of the Marseille deck connoting and questioning the fallibility of human and social law, here, justice evokes this by pointing to the regimented society of bees. This society provides order and some degree of safety, but complete subjugation of individual identity. Wow, I just got like full body chills, because I have not read this until just now. And that completely puts a whole new spin on what I went through in the month of May or June. That's quite interesting. Justice points to the examination of every law system for its pros and cons, because none can be perfect, and any system of absolutes crushes life and growth. Spirit of the law, discernment, beginning of critical thinking, rebellion versus submission, mob mentality, and solipsism, which is the keywords. And then just natural features from the artist notes. It says honey wasp, yellow jacket wasp. So that's a honey wasp and a yellow jacket wasp. So the wasp, not necessarily bees, but they do talk about the bees and the society and the complete subjugation, which I was like, wow. And that's what I was talking about with the black and white. Sometimes there's a gray areas with justice because the society's version of the law and justice may not be in alignment with your moral compass or what you deem as justice. So I find that's where the gray area comes into play, is you're fighting against a system that may be broken, but it's still part of the law versus, and that law is just trying to keep you in line versus you having this out of box thinking of maybe we should do this a different way. So I find that quite fascinating because I have had quite a bit of that kind of revelation throughout the month of June, which is insane. Insane. But the deck I decided to use with this, and I was thinking right up until like 2 days ago, I'm like, what deck am I going to use this as? I don't have any honey decks or bee decks except for the new Seasons of the Witch. I just bought, was it Beltane? Which is the only one of their decks I have. And then I'm like, dummy, you have Journey of the Sacred Bee Tarot, you have Wisdom of the Sacred Bee Oracle, and you have Keeper of the Sacred Bee Tarot by Kelly Burton. And I find Journey of the Sacred Bee is more of a Thoth base, and they mention Thoth or Marseille. It's more Marseille version in this deck. So I'm using the Keeper of the Sacred Bee, which is more RWS based. By Kelly Burton. This is number 3 in the series. Look at that gilding. And look at the backs here. Gorgeous. So what I'm going to do is shuffle the cards and just ask, is there anything that we need to know about this Justice card? Any further information on the month of June for me? And you know what? That is crazy. I'm not pulling this card, but I just found that interesting because I follow her on Instagram and she just posted this photo, this card. That's crazy. That's crazy. Just posted that with the caption on it. With the 8 of Cups. Interesting. Crazy. Let's just pull a card and see if we need, what do we need to know? What else? What other energy was for the month of June? I don't want to pull more than just one. It wants to do more than just one. I want to do it this way. Leave me guys here. Oh my gosh. Oh my God, they just keep falling. Hold on a second. Okay, so we got, actually pulled the 2 of Wands out of that. That's beautiful. Look at the bees swarming. Beautiful. Beautiful card. Now, they don't aesthetically go together. But I almost feel like with the 2 of Wands, here there's like a, right and wrong, karma, justice, that with the 2 poles. That's interesting. Or the 2 honeycombs. So let's see what the book says here. 2 of Wands, and I literally opened right up to it. It says, the beekeeper looks beyond her current situation and evaluates the limitless possibilities that the landscape before her has to offer. Her creativity stirs from deep within. It's time to plan and gather resources and start making the dream come true. Wow. That didn't just call me out. I don't know what to tell you. But I've actually been getting the 2 of Wands a lot lately. I've been getting a lot of what did it say here? What did it say? Creativity comes from deep within. It's time to plan and gather resources. So it's talking. I've gotten a lot of cards here lately that talk about creativity, and I'm just trying to figure out how that ties into the Justice card, and it kind of does in a way, because justice is, all about checks and balances, and again, there's a balance to justice for me. And if you're not finding that balance, then you're stifling creativity, innovation, all of that. And I feel like, and I just got full body chills again. I feel like once the checks and balances are equal again, it opens you up to that creativity and the innovation and the new ideas, new thoughts, new actions that you can take. And I find that very, very interesting. And I keep coming back to it being number 8, and I just keep coming back to, you don't need the strength. And it's funny because the strength was, I think it was last year or the year before, strength was my card of the year. And it literally felt like it was last year. And it literally felt like I needed all the reserves of strength I had to just get through the year. This year, the Hermit is my card of the year. And it's almost like, no matter how much I try, it's almost like all year long so far, I've been trying to say, no, I'm not really a hermit, even though I resonate deeply as a hermit. In my real life, everyday waking hours, I'm a full-on hermit. And I've been fighting that all year long. Like, I've got a second job. I've been trying to actually go out and do things. And I'm like, why? And every time I fight that, I get sick, or something happens to somebody I know. Something happens to where I am required to be in hermit mode. And I just find that very interesting that, again, with this Justice card being number 8 instead of strength, it's like, you don't need that strength anymore. You don't need all these reserves. You don't need to keep the muscles tense because that time has passed. And now it's all about balancing everything so that your creative flow can flow, if that makes any sense at all. I feel like I'm rambling yet again, but that was my card of the month, was Justice. And I find that quite almost liberating, in a way, to know that justice isn't always black or white. Sometimes it's blind. Sometimes it's flawed. Well, I wouldn't say flawed, but sometimes it's not always the societal justice is not always the thing to follow. Be your own mind, your own thinker, your own person when it comes to that. And I find that very interesting. Anyway, I'm going to quit rambling. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification button. And you guys have a great afternoon.